Today I'm going to show you how to do a high round back adjustment on a raglan sleeve top pattern. This came up during the workshops I was doing in Kansas City a couple weekends ago during the raglan sleeve top class. I had a student who had a high round back, and I was flicking through my own YouTube tutorials trying to remind myself how to do it on a raglan sleeve, and I realized I have not done this tutorial yet. So I tried to use my traditional set and sleeve, front back pattern adjustment and sort of, judgy it up on the fly to accommodate a raglan sleeve, and that really did not work out, I don't think. So I sat down with some mini pattern pieces and I played with it, and I think I've come up with a way to adjust the pattern. So let me just show you here. I have a traditional back, or a set and sleeve back, and I just want to remind you here, what you do for a high round back is some version of creating guidelines near the back neckline, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to slash through. I'm just going to make some pivots at the armhole. Okay, so you're pivoting at the armhole, you're slashing, and then what you're going to do is you're going to spread those. I'm just going to stick one of my yellow sticky notes back here. And you can see what happens is, as you spread these, it creates the extra length that you need, and it also curves the center back seam a little bit to make room for this high round back shape. So I'm just going to tape that down here. Okay, so that's basically how you would do it on a traditional back pattern piece with a center back seam. I also have a tutorial showing how to do it without a center back seam. I'm going to put the link in the description below for that. But let's look at raglan sleeve pieces. So here is the back of the raglan sleeve. I'm going to turn it this way so it agrees with the back armhole. Okay, so there's the back, and here is my sleeve. Now notice, here's where the trouble came. The back of a raglan sleeve does not include the entire back of your shirt. Part of the back of the shirt, if I put them like this, you can see that the back of the shirt extends into the actual sleeve. And that's where I was getting hung up on this. So my raglan sleeve pattern has a one-piece sleeve. So that also presents a problem because I really don't want to adjust the front. I just want to isolate the back area that contributes to the back of the raglan sleeve top, this area here. So what I'm going to do to start is I am going to actually cut my one-piece sleeve in half. And I'm going to find the approximate halfway, and I'm just going to draw myself a line like that. And then I'm going to cut it in half. Now this way I can work with the back side of the raglan sleeve without adjusting the front side of the raglan sleeve. So I'm just going to put that over here for a minute. So now I've got the two pieces that I need to work with. So we know we need to lengthen the upper back of the pattern, because if we look at our standard or our traditional set and sleeve pattern, we're lengthening here and we're pivoting at the armhole. So looking back at what I have here, I'm going to draw myself a guide right here, somewhere near the base of the back neck. All right, and then I'm also going to put these together, and I'm going to put them together like I'm sewing them together, lining up the neckline. So just to give us some frames of reference here, this is the center back, okay, and this is the neckline. Okay, so the neckline, okay, so we've got our neckline, right? that's how this sews together. So I'm also going to want to draw a guideline through my sleeve as well. And I'm going to just position that right at the same level of as I did for the back piece. But I'm going to draw it straight across like this. Okay, so if I put these back together, you can see it creates kind of an angle when it's sewn. But what that's going to do is it's going to allow us to lift up the center back. It's going to allow us to lift up, you know, where the seam is at the back armhole area. And also it's going to allow us to stop the adjustment mid-sleeve. So once we've decided that, the rest is very easy. What we're going to do is we are going to, I'm just going to take one of my little yellow Post-it notes and I'm going to stick it, oops, wait a minute. All right, so first what I'm going to do is I'm going to slash the sleeve and I'm going to pivot at the center of the sleeve like this. So see what I'm doing is I'm making a little hinge there. And I'm just going to stick some Post-it note under there. And I'm going to spread it. But I'm not going to spread it yet. I'm just going to leave it there. Now, what you're going to want to do is see how much your back neckline is drooping or not reaching up to the base of your neck. That's how much you're going to want to spread the back raglan pattern piece. So let's say, you know, you measure and it's an inch. What you're going to do is you're going to cut this back piece, and again, I'm just going to stick it on my little sticky note here. Okay, and then you're going to measure up the amount you need, and I like to always continue, if I'm working with a center front or back or a straight edge, I like to continue that because that helps me put the top part of the pattern back together. I'm going to mark how much I need to spread. Now this is a tiny half scale pattern, so I'm just going to do a little bit. But you're going to mark the amount you need, and then you're going to take the top part of the pattern piece and you're going to stick it right back into position. Notice I'm using that vertical line I drew as a guide to put that back nice and even. Oops. Like that. All right, so you can see now we've lifted the center back and, you know, part of the back to raise that back up. Now, how do we finish this? What we're going to do is we're going to use the exact measurement, which in this case is 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to spread the sleeve slash that I had the same amount. So I'm just going to open it up here. I'm just going to make a little guide for my little 1/8 inch like this. And then I'm going to slide it back down so it agrees. All right, so now you can see I've adjusted both the back, raglan back pattern piece and the back half of the sleeve. So I'm going to cut these out so they look nice and tidy. Okay. Oops. All right, I'm going to leave the little bit of yellow sticking out right there because we want to put the sleeve back together. So let's just look at it like this first. You can see if I match my notches, okay, you can see what's going to happen is we're lifting up the back of the raglan, and then we're also lifting up the back part of the back sleeve, and we're blending to 0 at the middle of the back sleeve. That's going to allow the whole back neckline up to the side back neckline to raise up graduated amounts to accommodate a high round back. All right, so that's the adjustment. Now to put the sleeve back, I'm simply going to line up the front of the sleeve, and you're going to notice here a little bit of that yellow Post-it note is going to be showing because when you pivot something and then put it back together, you end up with a little divot. You know, it dips in a very little bit up at the top. And actually, it's really tiny in this case because it's such a small piece, but I think you can see, if I line this up exactly, you can see there's just a little bit of that yellow paper showing in there because it's filling in the little dip at the tip of the pivot. So don't worry about that. So now you can see I've adjusted the raglan sleeve for a high round back. If you have any questions or comments about this, please post it below and I will help you. Tomorrow during subscriber Q&A, I'm going to be revisiting a question that I answered a few weeks ago about adjusting a bodice to lower the seam to sit under your bust. When I answered the question, I got follow-up from the subscriber, Tana, and she said to me, well, I did that, so I lowered it, and what happened was everything became too big. So I'm going to revisit how to fit a top that has a bust cup with a seam, like an empire waist seam or some sort of seam under the bust, how to lower that and then fit it to you, because when you lower something, you're lowering the fullness as well. So I'm going to readdress that tomorrow during subscriber Q&A, so join me for that. And then on Friday during FabFit Friday, you will get to see me sporting my completed top that I made using the wonderful Bias Cut Blueprints book. I decided to go with a different project in here because my little cowl beginner project turned into a little bit of a disaster. So I decided one of the things that was causing that was the width of my armhole wasn't wide enough for the depth of my body. So I noticed that there's templates in here for necklines and armholes. So I made a scoop neck top, and I'm very excited about the fit of it. So join me Friday to see my completed top from this book. And then I will be also announcing what's coming up next during FabFit Friday. It's going to be an exciting episode, so join me at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time live for that. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you again very soon.